Hey, how's it going, Raz? Well, that's good. Trying out a YouTube video that's royal-free music. Trying to change it up a bit. Watch me get hit, even though I put in credit to the video. Yeah, just getting kind of sick of the other stuff, and the Patreon that I sub to for the music, the guy hasn't updated any new music since like October, so I figured it's time to see about some other options. So I was kind of on YouTube today, and I saw there's a couple channels that have like 10-11 hour videos of just chill music. So I figured maybe I can try and see how it works today. As long as you give them credit in the video, I guess it's okay to use it. So I figure, what the hell, let's try it. Maybe I could find some other ones that have some decent music. I have to go through my files. I think I do have that poison statue file. I think I do have that one. I know I have a couple others from Abe and ES Monster when I subbed. I have to check again. The hell are you talking about? Are you in the wrong chat? Well, what were you gonna check? For a file or something? Ah, I got you. Has resin been easy to get, or is it just trying to find good deals on stuff? Ah, okay. Yeah, I gotta order regular two-part resin for some projects soon. I'm kind of curious if prices came down a bit. I know for a while there they were pretty expensive, but I'll have to check. You've been getting a lot of commissions done or out of the way? So I got somebody interested in the Jessicas, so it looks like once they're done, I'll be able to bug you to print out the next batch. Yeah, I had a couple other projects I wanted you to do, but I'm so backlogged I can't get to those projects for a while. It's just not enough time in the day. Plus, with the spring around the corner, it's going to be good timing too. I'll be able to have you print them out, get resin in hand, fill them in, start working on them. Yeah, like I said, I got stuff. It's just my personal stuff has just kind of came to a stop until I can get these done and a couple commissions done. I gotta get the garage cleaned out so I can pull out these larger projects. And then once I kind of get back on track, I can bug you for some stuff. So I needed more hands and shit printed too. I gotta stop buying well, I have stopped buying stuff that's just like body parts. Cause trying to get these hands and stuff is just a pain in the ass. Hey, what's up, Mimi? You didn't miss anything. Just putting silly putty on this before I paint. So, sort of my night changed dramatically. I pulled out a couple items for somebody that I do work for, and sadly one of the items sort of melted, or I don't know if it was the bubble wrap reacted to the paint or if the resin was leaking. So since I'm not doing that stuff tonight, I kind of needed to do something while that dries so we figure out what's going on. So I figured let me just kind of paint this up. Figured I'd get something, I'd get these done. I kind of really want to just get these done. Hoping this week's a productive week. We got all the doctor visits out of the way for at least this week and next week. So I'm hoping I can just wake up every day, just get stuff done. That's the goal. So Raz, you don't you think that Lilith statue sitting down probably wouldn't be good for schoolgirl? I just figured I'd throw it up there just for an idea. But there's a lot of other sculpts that could work, but I was thinking more of a playful version. Which is why I kind of like the other one with the girl blowing a kiss. I forgot the name of that statue. Yeah, I just, like I said, I was just kind of throwing out ideas there, which is fine. Sonya, that's it, Sonya Blade. The reason why I like the Sonya Blade is because she has the mouth blowing the kiss, and she does have a nude version, but each version does have the sneakers, so... I sat down, I think it was on a Sunday, I think after I edited the videos, I was there for like an hour just going through tons of sculpts. And while there is a lot of them, I kind of like that one the best. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I know some schoolgirl outfits, they have like those penny loafer shoes, but I figure we could just leave the sneakers, you know? Kind of my thought process on that one. Hey, what's up, Iceman? But yeah, I guess it's so far we're kind of running into Schoolgirl, Dominatrix, and Savage Land, I guess. Guess that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna look through some more sculpts, but see, the only thing is, I wanna narrow it down what characters are gonna be used in case I want different heads printed. So this way you can be able to sort of print them all in scale at the same time. That's kind of the goal. I don't want to print them out and then all of a sudden we got to start scaling heads. So that's kind of what I want to try to do first. But yeah, I think this Friday stream we'll talk about it, and if everybody's okay, because not many feedback in the Patreon group, so we'll kind of just finalize it. And then this way we could get a voting going. People could suggest characters and stuff like that. Iceman, I would do some research on like on YouTube, because there's probably better cameras than what I'm using. I'm using those Canon camcorders that you hold in your hand. But I'm pretty sure there's like simple streaming cameras that are better. Yeah, we got to kind of lock it down this Friday on the themes at least, and then I can get everybody to start voting characters. Well, I wouldn't focus on a tripod. That became a nightmare when I was doing it. You want to get yourself a monitor or computer arm that's bendable, like what I use for my camera. Something you can either attach to the ceiling or away from your desk. It'll make your life a lot easier. Because getting a tripod, sitting it next to you and stuff's a pain in the ass. Find something that you can, something that's like movable. I would show you if you look on my videos, you can see the computer arm I got next to me. Yeah, Modelball probably got more information on technology stuff than me. I just got what was cheap at the time for when I was doing stuff. Plus my lighting is shit, so. If you can, get a mount for your if you don't have a high ceiling, you can mount something over your head, like I did with the camera behind me. Hold on, I'll show you. The camera's probably gonna. Hold on. So you can see what I did here is I put the mount. I had to put a piece of wood up there because of I had to get the beams, and I took this bar and I put the camera down like this above me. So this way it's kind of like there. So it makes life a little bit easier. How do you work with the filming and the visor at the same time? Isn't that a pain in the ass though? Hey, what's up, Rukin? Yeah, YouTube is causing a lot of issues for people. There's a couple channels I sub to. I don't get notifications anymore. One channel disappeared overnight. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of guys complaining that when they go live, nobody gets their notifications or anything. I mean, I got an email saying I went live, but a couple people are having issues. I don't know what's going on. Something is. They did that whole thing, you know, when you sub and you click the bell to get notifications and you don't get it anymore. So I don't know if it's a shadow ban or I have no clue. Yeah, I don't know what's going on because I sub to a couple of channels and I have the bell and all notifications, and at night when I'm on, like, you know, when I close up for the night, say it's like maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I finally get to sit down and turn on the TV. When I go onto the YouTube stuff, there's like 3 channels live, but I didn't get any notifications, so I don't know what's going on. The only way I get notifications is like Rukin said, if you're actually on YouTube and you click up the bell to see what's going on. But I don't get any emails anymore. So let's grab some colors here. What do we got? Red. To open up the window for this. Alright, so we're gonna do like kind of a shiny dress. So I'm gonna do base metallic first, only because it's not perfect coloring. And then we're gonna try the base metallic red, and then I'm gonna spritz speckles to get like a glitter effect. Hopefully I still have that one toothbrush. I don't. Okay, hopefully this works. Alright, I'm probably gonna have to put a mask on too. I forgot to mask off the rest of this because I'm going to be putting a lot of layers on it. I don't want it to get too caked up. Hold on, we got to do this. Well, the shorts are sort of taking over because all the people who do YouTube realize you can make more money off of shorts now. So they rather just do shorts because I think YouTube wants to compete with like TikTok and Instagram. They probably figure, oh, that's where the generation of money is now. I get all these emails from YouTube about we're doing new stuff for shorts, and we're different ways to monetize your shorts now, and this, and that. So it's like, that's kind of where things are going. I think it's because of what is it, Generation Y or Alpha? They have a really low attention span, so that's why TikTok and Instagram is like their thing now. They did. I think there was a one video. I think it was Clownfish. They did a study where Generation Y or Alpha, whatever, they don't finish movies anymore. They'll watch like 15 minutes, a half hour, and then they'll turn it off and come back to it another day. It's not going to work. It's just going to be a mess. Screw it. Oh well. Just be easier to do it this way. Alright, I think that'll work. Hey, what's up, Butterfly? So sorry, I was just painting. So this is that base coral from Inspire. What I want to do is I want to create like a, sort of like her dress, you know, how she normally has, but with paint. So I figured a base metallic, and now I'm going to speckle on, like, just other paints, like, some silver and stuff. And I just want to try to create that, like, speckled glitter dress she usually has. Except that paint is very, it's a lot of fumes to it, so getting a little high now. So this is to my chrome silver. I'm pretty sure I can speckle this. We're gonna see. Okay, now I'm gonna grab some white paint and try to speckle a little white. Then I'm gonna speckle a little regular red paint, and then we should have some kind of glitter type of a outfit for her. I don't know what effect I'm going for. I'm just thinking of what I'm thinking is of the dress that Sideshow Collectibles had on, which was like a glitter dress. So that's what I'm doing. So what I might do is I might satin it afterwards instead of glossing it, so it's not like latex but more of a satin dress. So that's kind of what I'm going for. We'll see, a little bit at a time. I'll see if the camera doesn't. I like using the toothbrush because it's more, you get some lighter, you get some little dots, you get some bigger dots. And I think it works better for, like, if I do cosmic paint-ups and or trying to do this dress. Can't wash this out. Paint everywhere now. Yeah, it's sort of like the Captain Marvel when I do the stars on them, but I'm going to play with it a little bit more with some transparency reds to darken areas. So I'm just gonna kind of keep building because I really want to get that sort of that look, that dress look she has. So we have to add some transparencies. But right now I'm gonna grab some red paint. I'm gonna use. Try this. This is a liquid text. I mean, Wicked Colors. It's pearl red, but it doesn't have a lot of pearl in it. Mimi, it was, I did a little bit of a speckling of chrome silver to Maya paint, and then some white, I mean. We're trying to create sort of that dress, that glitter dress she usually has. So right now I'm just drying my hands, and I'm gonna sort of transparency some shades into her. So I'm thinking I'm gonna use the Wicked Colors red if I have it somewhere. Nah, Actually, I might use the maroon. I don't know. Let me see. Where is my transparencies over here? So we have red, and then I have maroon. I think the red. We'll try red first. See how it looks. Nah, it's not really darkening it. We gotta try the maroon, I guess. I was gonna try to work on a cop after this, but I got my hands completely dirty, so I don't think that's happening. If when you say tone down the red, you mean take the red metallic out, or not make it as shiny? Oh yeah, so whenever you do pearls or metallics, and you don't want them to be like glossy and shiny, if you get the Vallejo satin varnish or the matte, you can tone it down and flatten it so it won't be shiny and it'll look more like a flat pearl. Think of like a spandex on women, you know, like how they have that spandex on, not yoga pants, but spandex. And you know how it sort of has like that sort of a sheen to it, but it's not like shiny? You'll sort of start to get that look, sort of, if you flatten it down. It's hard to show it on camera, but in person, I suggest you experiment. Like, what I would do is, just so you can experiment, grab yourself like a pearl like Createx or something, and get yourself like some metallic, and get like a spoon, 2 spoons, spray them on both spoons, and then sit there and flatten it down with like matte varnish, and then also gloss coat and leave it alone, and you'll see the different look of it, and it'll give you a different look. So pearling, like if you do a pearl outfit, if you flat matte varnish it down, you'll get a completely different look, and it'll feel more like a spandex superhero look without it being super shiny. Which I'm going to do on this one, but I'm going to give it a satin coat. I mean, before I flatten this down, I'll bring it over to the other camera so you guys can see it a little bit. But I'm just kind of giving it a little bit more redder areas. Gonna hit it with a little bit more metallic because that sort of took down some areas, but it did darken up the red a bit. Might even throw some more white on it too. Let's see. Oops. Let's grab some white, pop a little bit more white speckles on here. wash out my hands and I'll show you guys on the other camera. So I know in the camera it's probably really shiny reflective, but you can kind of see I'm trying to create that dress. So I have a little bit of a mess up here, so I'm going to go in there and touch that up with some paint real quick. And then I think I'm going to satin it down, and that should actually sort of keep it where it's at. Let me just look at her dress real quick. Yeah, see, her cartoon dress is you know, they did a little bit different, but I think this will kind of work. See, red is hard to get a pearl because, like, if you're not careful with red, it starts to turn into a pink pearl. And then if you go too deep, you have to go to that candy coat. And I kind of like this. Just kind of feels more like a Star Trek-y dress, I guess. So let me kind of fix that error, and then we're gonna maybe like a half satin, half matte, so it kind of tones it down a bit. I hope my big airbrush isn't clogged, but it probably is. I forgot to clean all these airbrushes out. I didn't plan on painting tonight, that's why. This is the one I gotta learn how to clean out. Alright, so I'm going to use half matte varnish, half satin varnish, and it should give it a little bit more of a silky dress than a metallic-y, you know. So, trying to go for that silk look, almost. Alright, so I don't know how well you could see it in camera, but by doing that, it's not as like metallic-y. It feels more like a satin like fabric now, I guess you could call it. Like I said, the camera likes to pull a lot of the stuff out of there, but it's not as metallic though. I mean, it may seem like it, but in person it's not as like potent metallic as it was. So flatting, you know, using a matte coat and flatting it down and giving it a matte coat, it gets that sort of satin silk look to it. So if you ever want to do like a silk dress but you don't want it to be like glowing and you want it to be more elegant, this is kind of like what you do with your metallics and pearls. It's kind of hard. I don't have I would have to pull out my Captain Marvel to show you, which I don't feel like doing, but you would be able to tell the difference between the two. I mean, even if I grab the bottle, like, it's kind of hard to tell, but like if you put this next to it, you can sort of, it's in person, you can see it. Sadly, the camera sort of... So what I'll do is, of course, I'll let this dry for a while. You know, even though the metallics dry pretty good, it's the varnish that I put over it that takes a little while. But it's kind of more of that dress look to her. I guess we'll pull everything off. I think it should be fine. Any mistakes that are in there, I could sort of kind of get in there and touch it up, which I'm pretty sure I'll have to do. But I like it though. It feels a little bit more of a futuristic look to her. This putty that I use for masking is your basic silly putty. You know, the regular silly putty that you get out of a green, or no, I'm sorry, those red eggs. If you go to, whatchamacallit, Crayola web store, they sell 5-pound bricks of the stuff. I'll show you real quick. So this is an old container silly putty. Yeah, it's just, you know, just regular silly putty, you know. You can keep using it over and over. I still haven't gone through my 5-pound brick though. But see, they have a 5-pound brick of the stuff. It's usually, last time I bought it, it was like $100 or something, but it'll last you years. See, you're not the only one. I don't use tape. I use silly putty. And I use, as you can see, saran wrap. But with saran wrap, you got to be careful though, because if you tighten saran wrap around an item, what'll happen is that could pull up your paint too. But you'll see what I have underneath the saran wrap. But I always use silly putty for everything, because tape for me always did the same thing. So whenever I wrap saran wrap, you have to know your sculpt. You have to know if saran wrap is going to pull that paint or not pull that paint. So what I usually do is I glossed up her boots, and I know that if I put saran wrap around those boots and I let it sit, what'll happen is it'll rip up that clear coat. So I have these foam rolls that you get off of online for shipping. So what I'll do is I'll use this foam first, and this foam goes around this and connects to the saran wrap, connects to the silly putty. And then I don't have to worry about anything. But like if you were to put this around this gloss paint and you let it sit for a couple hours, you handle it or you leave it overnight, it'll rip up the paint and it'll leave marks. So it's something you got to get used to. Yeah, no problem. I don't mind. You ask questions away, I'll help you out. I'll show you what I do and what I use. But yeah, just like I said, the silly putty, you can see my containers here. I'll show you real quick. Sorry. Yeah, so the silly putty here, right? I have a super old one, I have a semi-old one, and I have fresh stuff. So this is what I'll use for like when I primers or nasty enamels and stuff like that. This is kind of like sort of, you know, newer paints like I did right here on her leg. And then over here is like this stuff I'll use for like faces and stuff I don't want to like really mess anything up. Yeah, if you want to use tape for stuff, you can. I personally try not to do it because I've always had issues where tape rips stuff up. So that's why I always try to take my time with masking, and I've just gotten used to it. I mean, I have my go-to dentist tool that I use, and I try to, you know, just mask is best. So that's why I do a lot of trim work too first. And when I say trim work, I mean I had to paint this red, so I did trim work underneath the hands first, and then I masked. Hey, what's up, Cherry Bomb? The reason why I like silly putty too is you can use silly putty to pull silly putty. So if you put a fresh piece of silly putty in your hand, you can sort of squeeze it and pull it out. But you got to know your paint. You got to know if you can or you can't do this. You got to know if the paint's wet. You just got to get used to what you can and can't do. I mean, I would love to tape everything if it worked, but I've never had any good luck with tape unless it's something specifically I know won't do anything. You want to get the regular old-fashioned pink silly putty that you get in the those eggs. You don't want to use that silly putty that's like neon colors or the glow-in-the-dark stuff, because that stuff will pull paints up, and it's not. You got to just get the regular silly putty. Because I made the mistake one time of getting like neon color silly putty, and it completely had like oils in it, and it completely destroyed the paint up. So you just want the regular old-fashioned silly putty. Yeah, Crayola web store. You know what? I can actually see if I can find the link for you. Now, sometimes the store doesn't have the 5-pound brick, so you have to email them, and they'll put it up. I know sometimes it gets out of stock. Yeah, as of right now, I don't see it in stock. But if you contact them, they can probably put it up. I know there was a couple times I ordered it and they didn't have it in stock. Unless Amazon has it. You can check Amazon. Let me see. No, I don't see it on Amazon. Yeah. So I would yeah, I would actually contact them, and I bet you they could actually put it up for you. Because what it is I guess it doesn't always sell, so they have to ask. You have to kind of like ask them to kind of put it up. But if you get a 5-pound brick, it'll last you years. Unless you don't do a lot of masking, you get a couple eggs. What's up, Devastator? How's it going? I know a couple guys in the hobby, what they used to do is they used to get together with other people and they would all order a 5-pound brick and they would split it. So you could do that too if you know somebody. Yeah, I like that. That looks nice. It's got that silky dress look to it. The red outfit without being just flat red, you know? Kind of throw back to her whole dress. So, yeah, so what I gotta do next is the black trim around here. And then that piece. And then after that, work out the hair. And then I gotta do the base and the communicator. Yeah, once we start getting colors in there, everything starts coming together pretty well. I still like this one a lot. I really like the pose to it. Hey ZB, you mean the silly putty? Silly putty could be used until... So, this silly putty I probably have had for now, 8 years. You see how it's like really, you know, you can see how much paint particles are in there. There's a... the one guy I know in the hobby, he had silly putty for like 10 years and it looked like pure black, but he still kept using it. I just personally like to, I do this where I have fresh silly putty, then when it starts to get really kind of mangled, I start turning into this color. And then when I use this stuff really bad, it turns into this. And then I start using this stuff for, like say I have to prime just a certain area, or I have to use some really bad enamels, I'll use that, and then if that stuff's nasty, I just throw it away. So I'm always kind of like shifting my tins, I guess you can say. Hey, the mug. I do not print my own STLs. I don't sculpt STLs. Everything is customized and one of a kind. I customize statues. I'm starting to customize STL prints. I repaint and I repair. So no, I don't. This is a one of a kind. This is the ES Monster STL Jessica Rabbit, but I customize it into a Star Trek. I also have the nun and I have the police officer I'm working on. Hey, what's up, Jacob? So here's the nun. I did trim work on her yesterday, last night before I closed up shop. So I did all my black trim around her. I did some trim around the police officer too. But I might just do her skirt. I think if I wash my hands, I could do the skirt on the police officer. So, yeah, I think maybe I'll do her skirt. I want to do the silky skirt to her. I just did the speckle just now, Jacob. It was metallic red, and then I speckled with a toothbrush. So I got her. Yeah, I'm not a great teacher in skin tones because I don't really do like basic skin tone, like one color, two colors. I blend everything out. So my skin tones I do a little bit different. So I'm gonna put her aside. I think I'm gonna work on the police officer skirt. Gotta mask it. The speckles. If you go back in this video will be it'll be put up on the YouTube channel after I'm done streaming, of course. But it was speckling of chrome, silver, and white, and then I satin/matte coated it at the end. No, they're purple. You know, they're still purple underneath. Did you, Jacob, did you see the email on the hair? Oh wait, I didn't send you an email on the hair today, did I? Alright, let me show Jacob his item real quick. I forgot. I don't think I sent you the email. So I tweaked up the hair a little bit. I sanded it down with there, and I filled out the back of it today. So I filled out the back and everything here. So it's a little bit fine-tuned better, because I cleaned up the bottom part underneath here, and then I filled out this stuff. So what I gotta do is I gotta let this cure and then prime it, and I'll clean it up some more. But I cleaned up the face a little bit too and everything. So that's kind of what I did today. Once I prime it up, I'll see if I need to fill anything in here. I'm not sure yet. I have to see it when it's all grayed out. So that's what I did so far on that. Alright. I thought I sent you pictures, but I must have got sidetracked. I think I lost the hair piece, so I might just put a rod in there and fix it. I don't know. I thought I had it. Because I know I had to break it off when I was working on it. But either way, I can always just, you know, put a rod in there. No, these are 1/4 scales. Yeah, I thought I had the rod, I mean that piece to the hair. It doesn't matter, I can fix it. Well, I had these Jessica Rabbits printed out in 1/4 scale. Yeah, if you this is the Sideshow Supergirl I'm working on for Jaco, so it's kind of in the same scale. But if you get a 1/6 scale Bowen statue, you can see how small the statue is. So this is a 1/6 scale. This is kind of closer to the 1/4 scale from like Sideshow. One-4 scale is my sweet spot. That's what I like working on. About 18 inches, I think, right? Usually like 1/4 scales. Yeah, it's like 17.5 to the top of the head from the bottom of the foot. Well, honestly, all scales are off. Like Sideshow scales, Bowen scales. See, Bowen scales had to be 12 inches. But it had to be from the bottom of the base to the top of the head. So I showed you the statue that was down about 10 inches, but there was 2 inches of base, you know. So Bowen scales were a little bit off. But I like this scale. This is kind of my scale to work in. I just like the 1/4. It's not crazy big, but it's not small. It's good enough to see far away in the room. Plus, it's good enough for me to work into to see. Yeah, the guys who do that super miniature stuff, I give them a lot of credit because they do really good jobs on miniatures, but I just can't do it. I would love to work on smaller stuff, but one, it's hard to get like good clean like faces and all that stuff, and then two, it's also like as I get older, the eyes go on you. CA3D, is that a STL site? I'm probably sure I've seen that, Mary Jane. I just don't remember all the STL companies out there or Patreons. Well, if you go to Japanese kits, you know, if you get like a Japanese kit, their 1/6 is completely different than American like 1/6 scales, and their 1/4 are like the 1/4 scale probably would come up to about here. And their 1/5 would be about like there, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I knew the CA3D. I might even be I know Raz sent me a lot of links. That probably would have been one of them. I can't keep up with all the STLs now. Too many. Yeah, we're all getting older every year. Nothing we could do about it. Oh, if you want a good silly putty tool, I'll give you guys the number again. I just bought 3 more of these. This is my go-to tool for sculpting and for silly putty. So it's a Premier, and this is the number. It's a Carver DEIPC-A angled, and that's the number. It was probably back in 2003. Some dentist gave this to me, and I've had it for years and years and years. So I finally decided to get more of them. I just find this tool easy to sculpt with, and also for masking. So I got one for sculpting, another one for sculpting, and as you can see. So this is good because if you're careful, you won't dig into the paints if you're just kind of easy with it, but it's good to kind of get into certain areas with the silly putty. Some people use like toothpicks, or you can make your own tool. These are like $35 a piece, but I love them. I use them for everything: sculpting, masking. The reason why is because you can kind of flip it, and you can do it this way, and you can flip it and use it this way. It was kind of funny. I was just starting to do customs, and I went to this new dentist, and I asked the guy, I was like, "Yeah, do you ever get rid of like dentist tools?" I was like, "I'll buy some old ones from you." And he comes out and gives me a brand new one of this. He's like, "I hate this damn tool." He's like, "Take it." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I never use it." And I've been using it since. Yeah, this one I've had for so long that this one is actually starting to curve. I use you know, every time it gets caked up. These are so good that you can just kind of use an X-Acto blade and scrape off the eaves. So you don't even have to go for a clean, you know, you could just ask it. Some dentists will actually sell you some old tools, but I've noticed, I went into a couple of dentist places and I asked the guy, just like walked in, and they were like, "No, for health reasons we can't sell you tools." But you could go on dentist sites and you can order tools, or you could just go on Amazon. I had to order these from Premier because they didn't have them on Amazon. So I had to actually contact Premier, and they sent me to a dentist retailer. And then I contacted them and they ordered it for me. But the old saying in the hobby is when you have a tool you absolutely love, buy a couple of them. So you never know if you'll never find it again. Yeah, ask your dentist. You know, see if he's willing to give you some old tools. If not, he might be willing to order you tools at a discount because I know some dentists get discounts. So the dentist I got here, I asked him to order me a couple tools, probably back in like 2015, and he ordered me like 4 of them, and I paid him, and I got sort of a discount. He handed me the book. He's like, take this home, come back to me tomorrow, and pick out what tools you want. So I was like, all right. So I was able to order a couple. There's a couple guys on Amazon that sell like tool sets. They're pretty expensive, but I honestly like dentist tools for doing this hobby because they are way more durable than those cheaper ones you get at like hobby stores. And then also too, you can sort of take a lot of the chemicals off these a little bit easier than the shittier metals. But you pay for what you get, but if you take care of them and clean them, they'll last you years. Silly putty changeables? Are you sure it's regular silly putty and not like a color changing silly putty? Be careful of those. Like I said, you gotta get the regular silly putty. If it's like the kind that changes colors, then it's not gonna work. I mean, it could work, but I don't know how well it's gonna. Yeah, like it's got to be just like regular silly putty, because like any color changing or glitter or glow in the dark or neon, that stuff doesn't work. I mean, like I said, it might. Like I said, it could work, but I know when I used that neon changing color one back in the day, it killed my paint. You can make your own silly putty. There is like a formula where you can make this, but personally, I wouldn't do it. So is it in Korea they just don't have it, or is it like, I don't know, I guess, is it an American based product? I mean, you don't have anything similar to it but a different name? So I helped a few guys out in the past in other countries with this stuff, but the problem is I ordered a 5-pound brick, and then when I packed it up to send it to them, not only did they have to pay for, you know, the product shipping to me and then shipping to them, it cost a lot. But, you know, if you're really into the hobby and you really, really want to use it, sadly you got to pay for it. But I don't know, like, rules for other countries for certain products. I don't know if you're allowed to have it. You know, like, I know, who did I send stuff to one time? I think I sent it to a guy in Germany, and they opened up the package to see what was in it. Do you, Cherry, do you have, Silly Putty the original is what you want. Do you have any hobby stores in your country that you go to? Because sometimes if you go to a hobby store, those guys have like certain licenses where they can actually order you some. But yeah, Silly Putty the original is probably what you want. But I guess it's good to test it too. Like you know, um, you get it, test it, see if you like it, and then if you do like it, you order more, because you might not like it too. Yeah, those little red eggs. There's usually like usually in the red little egg, there's like about this much in there. You know, there's usually not a lot in there. But you can still sort of spread a little bit of this much. They did that in Canada? Wow. Yep, that's probably what you're looking for. Because like growing up as a kid, they had those little red egg silly putties everywhere. You know, back in the 70s and I guess 80s. Because I mean, when I was a kid, you know, really young, you know, you could take silly putty and put it on a newspaper and it pulls it up. I don't know if it does it on comic books. It's showing my age now. Yeah, if you have a, whatchamacallit, probably doesn't do it on that. I don't have those comics. Yeah, so basically, you know, Silly Putty was like, they were trying to create rubber back in the day, the military, and they created Silly Putty, so like, you know, you can used to do this on a newspaper. This is the closest thing I have to newspaper. And then you pull it up, and you would see like, they don't make, I guess, newspaper stuff, they don't make it like they used to. Yeah, all the old ones and stuff. That's, yeah, that stuff will work. That shit was probably all toxic to us anyway, too, you know? Well, all the new comics are all digitally printed, laser printed, and it's So silly putty won't do anything to those probably. It's kind of funny. I never thought about ever touching silly putty ever again until 2005. I started doing all the statues and people were like, yeah, use silly putty for masking. I was like, never would have even thought of it. Yeah, just if you get them, you can throw the red eggs away and just get yourself a plastic container and just put it in a plastic container. But yeah, if you put this stuff on like cloth, like your t-shirts or a towel, it's like gum. It will seep into there and you'll never get it out. Yes, don't leave this on a towel or a t-shirt. It will just be like gum. But I mean, it doesn't do anything. It's just, you know, it doesn't do anything to your hands. It doesn't do anything to statues. You know, you can leave it on, you know, you can leave it on wood if it's, you know, if it's not like grainy wood. You can leave it on, you know, this paper towel stuff. It might sort of stick to it a little bit if it melts into it. But like a towel like this. Like a towel like this, it won't come out. But silly putty, like with your hand, like see what I'm doing with my hand? It starts to get softer because it heats up. It gets warmer. But in the cold, it'll be like really tough. So. And the other thing too is don't leave your silly putty on overnight. So you see how this is starting to sort of sag down? So if it's a hotter day out, it starts to kind of go downwards. So you want to mask, paint, then pull your masking off. And you don't want to mask when your paints are wet. So learn patience, take your time, don't rush everything. You got to get used to though masking though. So it's kind of hard to see, but I did a black trim with my paintbrush here, so it makes it a little bit easier to sort of have room for error. You'll make mistakes. I still make mistakes all the time. You just got to get used to it. But sitting here trying to put tape on this and trying to get tape around the curve and, you know, and then afterwards we're pulling the tape off, it's a pain in the ass. Now there's other guys I know that will not touch silly putty. They only use tape. They absolutely hate silly putty and they love tape. And they're able to get good masking with it, so. Yeah, I never used Mr. Hobby yet. I think this one hobby town I go to finally carries it now, but it's kind of more of an enamel, right, or lacquer. I try not to use those. I like my acrylics better, but that's just me. Yeah, no matter what paints we get in America, though, they're not like Chinese paints, like China, because China has those lead-based paints that we're not allowed to have. Alright, so now that I masked this off, this type of paint here, I don't have to worry about saran wrap. But if I'm going to lift her up at any point with the saran wrap, I don't like to have my saran wrap digging into the paint. So I'm still going to use the, whatchamacallit, this stuff, the foam. So just take your foam, put it around the leg, grab some saran wrap, just kind of lock it into place. I remember when I started doing this, I used to ask guys, like, how do you mask? And a lot of the guys like, oh, silly putty and tape and blah, blah, blah. And I was in the apartment one day, and I was like, I don't want to mask this whole entire leg off with silly putty. So I was looking at my kitchen table, there's a roll of saran wrap, so I grabbed the saran wrap, and I did this, and I told a couple guys in the hobby, and they were like, shit, I never thought of that. So just kind of do this now. But that's the other thing too, is don't feel you have to dig your saran wrap. Just wrap it around nice, you know. I had a friend who, when he was doing this stuff, he took it and he just like wrapped it around tight as hell. I was like, what are you doing, dude? So when he ripped it off, it just left marks everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I'll mask up the upper body too. It's just that, just saran wrap just saves a lot of time. Now I don't need to do saran wrap on here because I know the skin, the foam is going to be fine. So. I'll tell you one thing though, these huge rolls of saran wrap got expensive. I think the last one I bought was like, I think it was like almost 50 bucks. It's on my floor, it's so damn heavy because I don't want to put it on a desk. No, yeah, I've made my mistakes with overspray back in the day. Trust me, I made mistakes with saran wrap too because I did a candy coat blue on a statue with a Tamaya. So I did my chrome silver and I did the candy coat blue on it, and then like I let it dry that day, and the next day I came home. I was like, okay, I'm gonna mask it. So I put saran wrap on it. I painted it. When I pulled the saran wrap, it just pulled all that candy coat right off. I was pissed. That was a hard lesson learned with saran wrap though. That's when I realized that anything tacky or glossed or candy coat is not saran wrap. That's why it's good to have a lot of silly putty. Alright, now that I got that on, I want to sand this a little bit though. Are you getting back into the hobby or? Yeah, that's the problem with all of us in a hobby. You know, I got my commissions, I got my personal stuff, I got repairs. It's very hard to find time to finish stuff. If I was even when I had a full-time job and I was doing statues on the side, I found myself doing more commissions than personal stuff. Because I was always like, oh, I could do this commission and it could pay for this custom that I could do, but then I take on another commission, and before I knew it, it was a second job. But yeah, I got a... There was a couple guys in a hobby too for the Jersey Fest show. They were kind of like in the same boat. They kept buying kits until it got to the point where they were like, they had to pretty much purge everything. Because they were like, I'm never going to get to this stuff. You're into welding? Can you do metalwork, or is it just welding? Because there's guys in the hobby that would love real Wolverine claws for their statues, but I don't know if you do stuff this small. Hey, what's up, Lux? Cherry, I suggest what you do. This is what I told people. This is what I've done. Your very first projects, when you work on them, after you're done, don't ever fix them again. Just keep them on your shelf as is, and then as you take more and more projects, down the line you'll look at your first project and see how far you come compared to which you start, because you start learning new things. So always keep that first one on the shelf. Yeah, I'm only suggesting because I get people asking me to repair claws all the time, and I tell them that once those claws are broken, re-sculpting in resin, they're just gonna break real easy. So I don't know, just people are always looking for like real Wolverine claws. I wasn't sure if you had that type of know-how or even wanted to bother doing it. But then again, with the Wolverine claws, you gotta, you know, they're only for 1/4 scale, so they're like this big. You want to make all 6 of them the same. So it's a pain in the ass. But maybe with 3D printing and all this technology, pretty soon you'll be able to just pop out a couple claws for Wolverines and swap them out. You can cast metal claws, but it's called white metal, which is kind of like soft metal. So if you know the Bowen Designs Wolverine claws, they were a soft kind of like white metal. So that, what is it? You can cast up claws, and you can cast it up in black rubber, which is almost like a car tire, because the liquid metal is really hot, and that rubber for like a car tire can handle the hot stuff. Whereas that pink rubber of the silicone I use for statues in my videos, you can't put that metal in there because it's too hot and it'll melt it. But sadly, those claws, what's it called, bend. Is it zinc? Because the one company told me it was called a white metal, unless it's just zinc. But the one guy, Warren Rossi, that was Warren Resin, he used to make metal claws. He did a really good job with them, but he's out of the hobby now. But yeah, he used to make some really nice claws for these statues. Same thing? Okay. Yeah, it's just... You never know. I'm always asking people. X23? No, we're already kind of figuring out what the next batch of customs are going to be. I put it on the Patreon site. We're going to probably be doing a What If Savage Land character, dominatrix, and probably a schoolgirl. I think that's kind of what the next batches are going to be. So we got the sculpts almost figured out. Gonna finalize it this Friday, and then I'm gonna have people start voting on what characters to be made. Well, the idea is more cartoon type characters, so think of like Velma from Scooby-Doo, or Jetsons, or Pokemon Girls. It's kind of what we're trying to come up with. Thinking outside the box, what if. Yeah, X23 is Laura Kennedy, I guess. That's Wolverine's clone, theorized daughter. Well, I mean, the Days Outdoors could still be the Savage Land, but or it could I don't know, maybe I'm still eyeing that Days Outdoors for a custom, maybe a side custom down the line. So it's not off my radar, it's still there. Sorry, I'm just getting this all any kind of cunked stuff off here. Alright, I think that's good. So this is going to be a darker blue silk bottom compared to the top. So I'm going to do something similar before, but we are going to make it a darker blue. This camera drives me nuts. Hey, what's up, Raccoon? How's it going? Jacob, I don't have to get used to it. I'm at the point now where I'm able to chop off any statue and just start working on it. Alright, let's see. So, get some pearl. Alright, isn't a cop uniform usually sort of... Yeah, so it's a little bit darker blue. So I'm going to do... You missed me painting up the Star Trek outfit. I'll show you afterwards. And how was bowling? Did you get a turkey? Is it turkey? Right? Turkey or no? Or is it something else? I forget. Colors we got here. That's emptied. Oh, this should be good. Did you get a turkey, or are you the type of person to just chuck the ball at the ceiling? Are we gonna see you on YouTube later? Okay, I am going to mix up a batch in this bottle here. Alright, so this is a darker blue I have, but we're gonna, since there's hardly anything left in there, I'm gonna put some dark steel in here. We're going to put some pearlized blue in here. Then we're going to grab some this skin color blue. See if we can lighten it up a bit. And then we'll put some border in here. Alright, so that's a good base color, and then we'll probably mist some pearl on it afterwards. My compressor, no, this is the airbrush booth I have on. So I just turned off the airbrush booth on. My compressor is the silent air. It's on right now, so you might hear it kick on when I get a low airbrush. It didn't kick on yet. There, it's kicked on now. You can hardly hear it. Alright, we're gonna pearlize this up a little bit and then we'll kind of shadow it up. Yeah, I have, if you watch my YouTube channel, you could go in where I built this airbrush booth. I have two blowers behind it. One's down below and one's back there. So I got a lot of power in this airbrush booth because of all the big items I work on. So I could kick on one or two. I went nuts when I built up this airbrush booth, so I went a little extreme. Yeah, I if you go on my YouTube channel for my airbrush setup and booth and stuff, I show how I made this up. I have roller up here that I roll this felt down, this charcoal paper stuff, and yeah, I went crazy with this, but I work on such big statues I needed a huge booth, and I got tired of having dust all over the house, so that's why I went crazy building this. I can point the other camera toward it so you can see. Hold on a second. So you can see how big it is. Yeah, so I have filters down here. I got the filter back there. I have that roll of paper up top. Can't really see it from this angle. Hold on. Sit this way. And you can see how it goes up top. So I have those two tubes go out to the garage for the fumes, and that roll of paper helps me salvage the filters, because you know filters are expensive, so you can roll down paper and it gives a little bit of an extra catching and stuff. And I got my camera and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's my booth. Like I said, I went above and beyond with it, but I wanted to get a nice big booth because as time went on, the statues got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I couldn't put them in that stupid audiograph thing I had, and I didn't want to build something small just for like small statues, so I put it in my build-up video of the place that I followed. Yeah, so the only thing is, this can't leave this room without breaking it. Or I think I built it in a room, but I didn't build it smart enough that I could pull it out of the door. That's okay. There's no plans to do anything with it until either I croak or I move or retire, one or the other. Alright, so I need my shading gray. Wherever my sheen gray is, here it is. Yeah, the tubes that go back in that direction, it goes out there to the garage, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't have fumes go in my garage," but I have vents in the garage, and the garage is also what's that thing at the top of your house? I'm drawing a blank. Where you ridge vent, the ridge vent in the garage, and most of the time too is if I do anything really harsh in here, I open up the garage door anyway. But I have another one of these booths I made with one fan for priming the garage, but that goes outside. So whenever I prime or I do really bad chemicals, I do it in the garage. So I have two booths basically. I figured since I was doing this full time and everything, I might as well do the best thing I can. Alright, so I'm going to take some pearlized blue, a little bit of water, some of this original color, mix it up a bit. I don't know, I just found the picture online, so I'm just kind of sort of following it, I guess you can say a bit. It was just sort of a reference for the beginning when I started this. Alright, so now it's a little too shiny, so this is where I'm going to use matte varnish, and it's going to give it like a flatter, silky look. Sort of like a business outfit that's not super shiny, I guess. So, like I said, this is probably the best matte stuff I've ever found is Mecha Color varnish, matte varnish. Double check to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, for Jessica, I thought it would just be fun to have sort of like this picture that's up over there. Sort of like that. I figured the shirt and the hat could be the same blue, but this is more of like a silkier, darker blue. I think it just breaks it up a little bit more too. So, now, it may still look like it's pearl in the camera, but in person, it's more, it feels more like a shinier, like, you know how like some suits have a little bit of that sheen to it? It feels like that more when you flatten it down. But I know my camera and my studio lights are probably making it look to be shinier than it is. But you figure like when you get the uniform, the top will be like a blue, and then that'll be a darker blue, so it'll kind of just make it just a little bit different. A little differ. My college buddy in PA would say everything is differ. One thing too is when you pull silly putty, if you use any like enamels or lacquers and they start to flake, I guess be careful on how you pull it. You don't want stuff to flake onto your item. Now I know blue too, be very careful with blues because sometimes this dust will get in your finger and you might rub it on your item too until it dries. Like I said, you got to get used to just paints, silly putty, masking. Certain brands, different ways you paint cause different issues. So. And also trying to find that little end of the saran wrap's a pain in the ass. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes with certain paints and how I do stuff. Like, one thing I always try to do, and I've said this in the past too, is pull your silly putty down. So instead of trying to rip it with your finger and then start getting dust and ripping it, what I like to do is try to pull the silly putty into itself from the paint. So see how I'm kind of pulling it into the paint? Instead of trying to, you know, sometimes your silly putty will crack around your edges. You got to get used to if you paint it too thick or if it's a thicker paint. But instead of trying to rub your fingers on here and get any kind of dust on your finger, try to just pull it into itself like this. And then it kind of saves you from dust. And then kind of pull it around and yeah, I like that color. In person, it looks really good. I like it. What it does is, because it's a little bit darker with the pantyhose, they're not as dark now. She's going to have nice shiny black shoes like I did with the other Star Trek. And then another thing too, silly putty. See how it's like you got a lot of paint on here? Before you put it on an item, you know, just break it all up and get all that dust and, you know, so you don't put like a fresh thing of paint onto your item. It's gonna break it up. Yeah, now that the sun's not blaring in that room anymore, maybe we can sort of see how this looks. Shelf life of silly putty, lasts forever. I haven't seen silly putty go bad yet. Yes, certain lacquers and enamels can melt silly putty. Tester's dull coat will melt silly putty, but it will go away. So, Tester's dull coat. I'll show you on an old one. I'm going to spray it in the booth, but I'll bring it back here. So, a lot of this silly putty has testers on it. But I'll show you what it does. So, this is just like, you know, silly putty normally. So, let me grab a piece of wood. So I just sprayed some of that Tester's dull coat onto this, and I'll use this old thing, and it sort of, see how the silly putty sort of is coming up like liquid? See that? Now, that's a reaction to the silly putty, okay? But if you let this dry, and you give it a, you know, a good half hour or so, or an hour, let it dry up. I sprayed that really heavy on there just to show you like it's liquefying. What'll happen is once that dries away, it'll go right back to silly putty and you'll be fine. But that's Tester's dull coat out of the can. That's a very, very harsh chemical. So that melts silly putty down and it gets a little tacky. Now, if you sprayed it onto your item, and this sort of gets kind of tacky onto your statue, if you give it time, it will come out. So, like say it's on your item, say this like, you know, see how it's like on your item like that? So I'm going to go hit this with the blow dryer real quick. And, you know, if you give it time, I'm rushing this a little bit. If you give it time and you have like fresh silly putty out of your container and you sort of go back to it, you know, it'll come back out, you know. It might ruin your paint though, the way I just did this, but that's primer. And if you really kind of just give it time, you know, it'll come off. But that's that's extreme case what I just did. But like I can take this now and I can put this in here and let it sit, and you know, probably in an hour it'll be fine. But in this is just extreme. But that's Tester's dull coat, you know. That's Tester's dull coat. But if you do regular just acrylic paints, you know, just regular acrylic paints, it doesn't do anything. You know, it's not going to do anything for the silly putty. It's just going to go in there, and then after that you just kind of mush it in. It'll dry up and break up and it's fine. Do I throw away the older putty when it gets really, really funky if I use primers or lacquers in the garage? So, say I'm working on this item, and say something happened, and I have to reprime this area up here or something, and I put silly putty on there, I'll use my very old silly putty, then I might throw it away. I try not to save it to the point where it's completely nasty. I know some guys have silly putty for since they ever started painting like 15 years ago and still using it. So I had to order more clear coat for the nun, so I won't be able to paint her up on Friday because I'm not going to get it till by Saturday. So I wanted to paint her up this Friday, but sadly the clear coat's not coming in, and I need to have that at the same time. So yeah, sadly I can't paint her up, but I did do all my trim last night. So that's why when I mask, this is what I talk about, trim. So I painted a nice black line around all this trim around here, so when I silly putty it up, I at least know where my line is compared to having, like, you know, whatever. So that's what I did with that last night. I had some time. But I think what I'll do is I'll continue on to the cop on Friday. We'll work on her some more too. We got Roger to paint up as well. So we're getting there. At least I got a lot of this done today, so I'm happy about that. The powder? What do you mean powder? I got paint all over my hands. No, this is all speckled. If you go back in this video, this is all speckling. So it's kind of the throwback to her dress. Yeah, Raccoon, I saw it after you sent it to me. I watched it today. I listened to it. I skipped through some of it because I wanted to get to the more interesting points. But yeah, I guess I've been saying it wrong, but I don't care. I'm saying it the way I want. No, some of the dots I'm gonna leave alone because I wanted to go toward her like her cartoon dress where some of them were bigger and smaller. I wanted to have a little fun with it, so there's a lot of dots and stuff in here that are big and small. I wanted it to be different and just kind of popping because, like, if you look up close they're big, but when you look far away you really don't see a lot of them. So but the interview that they did on there was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. It's I'm glad to see that the daughter is involved in the business because I always had a fear that if the owner like retired or sold off the business, it would go to hell and I would lose Aves. So, but it looks like they got a lot of things going for generations. So hopefully they're still around as long as I'm around. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Gotta do this fits in there pretty good, right? There we go. And we got our communicator. We gotta get this painted up. looking at this correctly. There we go. You know, I saw in the video they had those metallic coatings. I actually think I'm going to pick up those metallic coatings. I like that. I like the metallic coatings a lot, so. Yeah, so the communicator's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this. Just double check. Got to get the fingernails painted. A lot of little tedious stuff coming up soon. Get this, paint up this black on Friday. Then we can paint this. I'm going to do all the hair at the same time though. So she might get done before these are done, but I want to paint all the hair the same. So I like the cop though. Cop outfit's coming along pretty good. Probably work on Roger more on Friday as well. Unless I have more time this week. It all depends on how this week goes. So, got Roger going. So maybe I'll get back onto him too. Got to get him all painted up. And I gotta get Jacob's going. Jacob, if you're still in chat, I think I'm gonna start your skirt this week too, once the hair is done. So, got so much stuff to do. Yeah, I'll probably get the skirt going once you're okay with the hair. I'm gonna probably repair the broken part tomorrow, prime it, and then if it's a go, I gotta wet sand it, smooth it out, and then I'll do the skirt. And then once that's done, work out the belt, fine tune, and then start doing the base, I guess, right? Goal will definitely be to have it done by the end of April. So be prepared. Metal piece. What metal piece? Is there something on her belt? I don't remember. Oh, you mean for the clasps, like this one piece? Or do you need a belt like that piece? Yeah, that I'm not worried about. Alright, I gotta get the skirt done first though, so, and then I can worry about putting the belt around. Yeah, not a problem. Alright, I'm shutting down the stream, I'm done for tonight. Like I said, maybe if I have more time I can do another stream and then Friday as well, because I really, like I said, I'm trying to get these done. Alright, so you guys have a good night, and see you next time.